Hello, everyone, and welcome to a visual novel called Nothing Like You. This was made by the same creator who made the game about the kinetic novel about the towers. So I think there's two versions of this game, two versions of our date. I'm gonna go ahead and look at them. You sound one of the highest floors of the Hippocraft, listening to the hustle and bustle of students milling about below you. You had found a spot overlooking the dining hall, a little table and two chairs situated not far from the railing. Cafeteria ambience mingled with the chatter from every noise as it rose up to meet you, all of it ending up as white noise by the time it reached your ears. The location was a little quieter than if you joined the rest of the student body, a little more private, but hopefully not too private, just the right amount. This was the most neutral first date you could think of. Just getting to know each other over a meal, the way any two people aboard the ship might. For now, you're still alone. You find yourself closing your eyes and beginning your usual pre-flight ritual, running simulations of what you were about to face. You weren't in the cockpit of your UMA right now, and this wasn't a combat mission, but interstellar battles scared you a lot less than a first date with a cute girl. Considering that, this probably merited the same amount of mental preparation. You could apply your usual strategy, imagine every action you plan to take, and keep rehearsing your choices until you're confident. Envision yourself and her on your date. Hi! Oh God, how do you start a date? Thank you for agreeing to come, even though the way I asked you was weird and kind of sounded like I was propositioning you, which I wasn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if you thought I was. Definitely not like that. Redo. Thanks for coming. Better. Of course. Are you doing alright? Yes, thanks to you. A little while ago, you had taken the opportunity to shadow a recent graduate of the Hippocraft's piloting program. You and a few other pilots followed her into space to watch how she dealt with combat missions, only for said mission to go horribly wrong. In the end, you and the graduate wound up returning to the ship in critical condition. Post-ops was one of the nurses who attended to you. You weren't conscious then, but you went to find her afterwards to pass along your gratitude. You kinda accidentally flirted with her, and then set up the state. You'll honestly be surprised if she shows up. It was generous to call what you've done flirting. It was more like, so you came up to me as soon as you could stand and told me how glad you are that I had already learned in your intersex because it meant you could ask me out, and then totally overshared about how you're scared to start relationships with people who don't already know your deal. You weren't even drugged up, ill, or anything. You just said all that to a stranger. I am very sorry. I was trying to say you're cute. I got that. Eventually, when you set the state. But I just don't understand. I mean, medical file. Sure, your hormone levels are a bit skewed, but it's not like having some prescriptions is a big deal. You know it's not just that. There were stitches high in your inner thighs that attested as much. Your body, all of it, had been laid bare for the medical team, and post-op had been among them. The hormone imbalances were the least of your worries. It was holes that weren't quite as deep as they were supposed to be, features that didn't match your birth certificate. All bodies had their individual differences, but yours was even more different than the norm. You knew that now. Okay, sure, but, body? Is it a SEX thing? Hesitantly, you nod your head. Even you knew discussing SEX on the first date was kind of weird. Is it the way your body is the way your body is that important? Or more like, why are we thinking about SEX before you even ask someone out? Well, SEX is sometimes a deal breaker. I had an ex in high school. She was experienced and I wasn't. When we tried to get intimate with each other, I kept saying I was in pain. It's frustrated her enough that eventually she broke up with me. I think I hurt her pride. Everything she did with past partners, things she knew should have felt good, didn't feel good to me. She thought I was lying about it when I complained. To her, it felt like I was telling her she was bad at sex when she knew she wasn't. Even then, reputation. You're that famous piloting prodigy, right? Even us at the nursing track know about you. They've been calling you a hero ever since you helped defend the academy last year when we were almost invaded. They held a ceremony and everything. Why would you be afraid of asking anyone else? There might be people who would agree to date me if I asked, but that doesn't mean a relationship with them will work out or that we'd be compatible. Besides, being well known isn't the same as being popular. What's the difference? I think my fame makes me seem more unapproachable, so no one approaches me or talks to me in general. But still, you're dating someone new, right? I heard about her. Sure, Suture, I think? Oh. Oh, wait. Does Postop know about Suture? Does Postop even know about polyamory? What if she thinks that you asked her out in a secret affair way? She doesn't already think you're a cheater, does she? You saw her with one of Suture's employees, so she's likely aware, probably. Anyone within 2 degrees of Suture's circle usually knows about her and her polycule, in the polycule. You can try to name drop her casually and make it obvious you're not hiding the fact that you already have a girlfriend. Hopefully that will be enough. But if it isn't, when would you even fit what polyamory is into a conversation? Probably when she accuses you of infidelity. Ignore that for now. Assume post-op already knows everything. The next thing she'd ask is, if you're so scared of starting relationships, why are you dating her? Did she stumble on your medical records too? No, that's not why. And she doesn't know. I was intersex before we started dating. Neither of us knew. She's why I even found out. You didn't know? Like I said, I wasn't experienced. I didn't really have a frame of reference for what my body should have been like. My ex didn't say anything. Maybe it felt too awkward, or she hadn't known either. We were teens. But the first time Soltra touched my body, she told me, "You're like nothing I've ever seen before." That sounds romantic. It wasn't a compliment. It wasn't an insult either, just informative. When we first tried sleeping together, I told Searcher I was bad at sex. And that's what I thought the problem was, and I thought I could get better at it. But it wasn't something I could fix. It was just the way I am. My ex, I made her feel bad. She didn't know what to do with me. I can't expect anyone else to either. But Suture did, right? She didn't know what she was getting into. I was lucky that she was willing to learn about how my body worked. But I can't expect others to be the same way. They'll come in having expectations, and they'll be disappointed when I don't match them. I don't like disappointing people. And then, you don't know what she'd say to that. You and Suture have hashed out versions of this conversation hundreds of times. This was usually the part where she tried to bowl you over with her unfounded optimism. Anyone who is worth you won't be disappointed, she said. I wasn't. But if it didn't make someone a bad person to be upset when they got more than they bargained for, which left you with this bargaining. Because what was the alternative? Introducing yourself to every person with, "Hi, I'm intravenous, so if you sleep with me, it might be weird." This isn't something you can prep people for. You just have to hope that When they eventually find out, they won't be too disenchanted with you. But you can't wait until you've already spent all that time and emotion to build up with the relationship with them. You rather expose your heart before they're important enough to break it. There's no point in thinking about this. That's what the date was for. Instead, maybe you should consider what kinds of questions you're going to ask post-op. Oh, oh boy. About food. I always ask about food. So how's the food? This is a normal question to ask a date. You cannot possibly mess this up. Point of reference. Just out of curiosity, did anyone say anything? You mean about your body? You saw, didn't you? You have no real reason to be nervous. Shusher says the fact that you're intersex isn't noticeable from the outside. But you can't. It'd just be her way of being nice. And you can't help but be curious. You can't help but be self-conscious. Sometimes you look at your body and wonder if there were signs you never notice. If you could have never known. If others could have known. But to you, it's obvious. Every indication of you being intersex sticks out. Or maybe you just think there are indications of it, but they're nothing. You haven't seen enough bodies to know. Treatment. Thank you again for saving me. You've already thanked me, you know. Just out of curiosity, did you ask everyone on your medical team? No, just you. Does that sound creepy? You hope it isn't creepy. No, it just seems like you're special, right? Boyfriend. I think I saw you when we were shadowing the UMA pilot before I got injured. You were there when that pink-haired boy, with that pink-haired boy. Are you two dating? You don't know the answer to this. Interests. What do you like to do? And then she would answer, you don't actually know anything about post-op outside the fact that she's a cute nurse, do you? Hopefully you have something in common. Running simulations is pointless. You don't have a flight path mapped out or data on potential risk, and you don't know post-op well enough to anticipate her responses. And it's not like mental preparation was guaranteed to help either. Your last mission was a testament to that. But the existence of risks don't stop you from getting your UMA, and it wouldn't stop you now either. It's time to open your eyes and start your date, for real this time. I gotta try again. You sound the higher floors of the hippocraft, listening to your hustle and bustle of students milling about below you. Looking over the railing, the academy's cafeteria was visible on the ground floor for you to see. Tables and bench seats were organized in neat little patterns in the middle of the wide hall. The students sat down and set down their trays and crowded together in the booths to socialize together. If others preferred to take the elevator up, you find somewhere else to eat, which is what you did. With the hippocampus sprawled out below you, you could only hope you made the right choice. Intravenous. Hi. Sorry, it took me a bit to get my food. Were you waiting long? You gaze drawn upwards. You raise your head and meet at the eyes of your date. The real post-op was far cuter than in the one you imagined in your imagination, memory utterly failing to capture her charm. Because of this, it took you an embarrassingly long time to realize she asked a question. Only because I got here early. Oh, what have you been up to? Thinking of you, mostly. Oh, maybe you should have said that out loud. Maybe you shouldn't have said that out loud. Or not. She doesn't look weirded out. Maybe that was okay. Thank you for coming, by the way. Of course. Are you doing alright? Yes, thanks to you. Looking happy to hear it, Post-op set her tray on the table and sat down. But with that movement, something seemed to shift. An air of finality settling over you both, as you unmistakably found yourselves at the official start of the date. It led you to the same question you neglected to find the answer to before. How do you begin? So, you said it's hard to date if someone doesn't already know about your post-op trailed off, hesitant to pull the label to it, about how I'm intersex. If she recognized the term, it certainly didn't show on her face. Did they not cover intersex conditions in nursing courses? You felt a bit of your respect for the medical sciences disappear. Right. You said you felt comfortable asking me out because I already knew. But I just don't understand. I mean medical file. Sure, your hormone levels are a little skewed, but it's not like you're having some prescription is a big deal. It's not just that. Post-op floundered for a second before doing her best to compose herself. Okay, sure, but body. Is it a sexual thing? Hesitantly, you nodded your head. Things have been going about how you'd expect it so far. But this was where you get not nervous. Wait, reputation. You're the famous piloting prodigy, right? Even us in nursing track know about you. They've been calling you a hero ever since that attack last year. You're basically a school idol. People would trip over themselves to date you, right? There might be people who would agree to date me if I asked, but that doesn't mean a relationship with them would work out, or that we'd even be compatible. Besides, being well known isn't the same as being popular. What's the difference? I think my fame makes me seem unapproachable, so no one approaches me or talks to me in general. But still, body, a sexual thing. Things have been going about on how you'd expect so far, but this was where you got nervous. Is the way your body is that important? People should date you because of love, not because they want to use you. Does sex actually matter by a first date? It can for some people. Sex is something of times a deal breaker. Here's the story about the ex in high school who was like, I had so much experience, but I'm still not good at sex. It frustrated her that she broke up with me. I hurt her pride. Honestly, if the sexual chemistry is not there, then I guess it could be harder for some people more than others. Everything she did with the past partners, things she knew should have felt good, didn't feel good to me. She thought I was lying about it, just to spite her. To her, it felt like I was saying she was bad at sex when she knew she wasn't. Maybe she was bad at sex. No, that wasn't it. Sure, let's pretend that's true, even then. You're dating someone new, right? I heard about her. Sultra, I think? A friend of mine told me about her. She's dating like half the Hippo campus's lesbians. Not quite half. Well, she's dating you. Are you only dating her because she stumbled on your medical file? No, she's great. And she didn't know I was intersex before we started dating. Neither of us knew. She's why I even found out. You didn't know? Like I said, I was inexperienced. I didn't really have a frame of reference for what my body should have been like. My ex didn't say anything. Maybe it felt awkward, or she hadn't known either. We were teens. But the first time Sultra touched my body, she told me, "You're like nothing I've ever seen before." That sounds romantic. It wasn't a compliment or an insult, just informative. A lot of this is the same. But Sultra did, right? She didn't know what she was getting into. I was lucky that she was willing to learn about how my body worked. But I can't expect others to be the same way. I don't like disappointing people. I get that, actually. I'm, disabled. I use a cane sometimes, but I don't bring it everywhere so I can look normal. There were times I built a relationship with someone, and I could tell they really liked me, but the second they caught sight of me using my cane, I could see the interest leave their eyes, like everything attractive about me has suddenly vanished. It's so immediate. It hurts every time, even though I should expect it by now. But I know if I made it obvious from the beginning, most people will never look at me romantically at all. I can't warn anyone even if I want to. Or I guess I could, but it'd be awkward. About as awkward as repeatedly discussing sex on the first date. Anyway, sex isn't the end-all be-all. Even if sex wasn't an option, that wouldn't make you undateable. I mean, there's asexuals who date, right? They just want companionship, but that's not, so not about sex. I mean, I'm not even sure if I can do that stuff physically, but I want a relationship. My guess is if you can sit at the table, there's probably something that could work for you. Good to know. It's become awkward. You stare quietly down at your food, and it occurs to you that that both your trays are still completely untouched. That was a bad sign. Another bad sign post-op was the one asking all the questions so far, and that's not how dates were supposed to work. I mean, dates are you take them as you come, right? Think of something to say to her. Well, we haven't really touched her plate yet, so asking about food wouldn't really help. Point of reference. Just out of curiosity, does anyone say anything? You mean the nurses? About your body? You saw, didn't you? Yeah, but there were more important things to look at. You were bleeding. I was helping cauterize your wounds. Right, that makes sense. Why are you like this, boyfriend? I think I saw you when we were shadowing that UMA pilot before I got injured. You were there with that pink-haired boy. I know you told me you're single, but back then, were you two dating? No, I mean, yes, kind of, but it's complicated. Is that a red flag? You'll have to ask Silcher later. Food? So how's the food? Oh, I actually haven't tried any of it yet. But you knew that already. Why are you always like this? Thank you again for saving me. You already thanked me, you know. Just out of curiosity, did you ask out everyone on your medical team? No, just you. Oh, she seemed happy about it. Interests. What do you like to do? You mean like hobbies and stuff? Let's see. I like dressing up or going window shopping. Fashion is fun. I'm interested in fashion too. Oh, really? You managed to have a short conversation about your personal styles. It's nice. Sultra doesn't really care about this stuff, so you don't have many opportunities to talk about clothes. While the conversation petered out, Postop gave you a knowing smile. You're kind of awkward, aren't you? Yes. Awkward was one word for it. Sultra prefers to call you silly. You're glad she thinks she's cute, but you honestly agree with the post office assessment more. It's not like you're trying to be particularly funny. You aren't exactly unhappy when your blunt answer earned a giggle from post-op, though. It's not the same, but my body has a lot of quirks too, and I think if someone loves me, they should be willing to accept that. I'm worth the trouble, and you are too. You said before that you made your ex feel bad, but you didn't. You didn't do anything except exist and be you and have your body. If you said something hurt, she should have stopped and tried something else. That's basic human decency. You did nothing wrong. You're not unlovable. Thank you. In truth, you knew you weren't unlovable, but there was nothing technically wrong with your body. But that doesn't mean others felt the same way. No amount of self-acceptance could change how people treated you. Do you think I'm someone you could love, hypothetically? I mean, well, definitely doesn't feel bad at being liked by you. But I've never liked another girl before. If it helps, I don't actually identify as a woman. Oh, because of the intersex thing. No, just non-binary, unrelated to that. Oh, an awkward pause. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns, by the way. Oh, okay. I've only ever heard people use she, her for you. Yeah, because they think I'm a girl. Another awkward pause. Post-op cringe through a smile. I think about what this date has shown is that we still I think what this date has shown is that we still have plenty to learn about each other. Right, that makes sense. But I want to get to know you and see whether I could like you. I'd really like that. Getting to know you better, I mean. Next time, can I see your cane? Yeah, I'll bring it next time. You smiled at her, and despite everything, she smiled back. The date was a little bit of a train wreck. You're not good at talking to people, and you know that. But you got through it, and post-op was still there. Getting to know you over a meal, the way that any two people might. Nothing like you, and it is true. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this visual novel, written by the same person who wrote the Two Towers one that I just played. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. And goodbye.